Now joining us from Bozeman, Troy Downing. Troy, great to hear from you. How you been?
I'm doing great. How are you doing, Aaron?
Hey, doing good. Yeah. What's on your mind? What's been happening over the weekend?
Well, good. Thanks for letting me on. I just wanted to talk about a couple of things that came up this last week. It was a pretty busy week for me. And like happens often in Montana, there's always things scheduled on opposite ends of the state during the same time. So I did the best I could on this one. But this weekend we had our VFW state convention up in Libby. The Veterans of Foreign Wars state convention had representatives from across the state to basically talk about things going on with the VFW. It's a fantastic organization. I'm a life member of the Montana VFW. I'm a trustee of Post 1211-2. We're a very active post and doing a lot of good for not just for the veteran community, but our greater community as well. And just a couple of short things we talked about up there is the VFW in Montana is strong. Our finances are getting stronger. Still working on enrollment. My post in Belgrade 1211-2, we've actually been really good at getting new people to enroll in, new veterans, and I think we're one of the leaders in the state, and I'm very proud of that. And a couple of the other things that came up in the state talk was legislative issues working for exempting military retirement pay from state taxes. Actually, Montana is one of 6 states that doesn't exempt your retirement pay for military veterans, and so that's
isn't that crazy?
Crazy.
Those are two issues that I just don't get it, why we can't make the fix and make Montana more business friendly, more senior citizen friendly, more military veteran friendly. Like you mentioned, one of only a handful of states that taxes military retirement pensions, one of only a handful of states that taxes Social Security benefits.
Right.
I mean, come on. Yeah. Are you that desperate to increase spending in Helena that you can't even follow what the rest of the country is doing?
There's two things that I want to point out on that. Is first of all, our veterans, our retired veterans, earned it. And second of all, nobody's getting rich off of a military retirement. So let's let them keep as much as we can and just line up with most of the rest of the country and allow them to keep what they've earned. And so that's obviously something that we're interested in moving on. And
on that point too, I mean, okay, so think about the economic impact. Okay, let's say somebody has a $40,000 a year military pension, or maybe a 60 or even higher, right? Okay, if we recruit them to move back home to Montana, first off, you're bringing kids back to Montana. Maybe they grew up in Coal Strip, but they retired out of active duty in Fort Belvoir, Virginia. We now say, hey, come to Montana and bring that pension with you. We've just brought $40,000 to $80,000 a year into Montana. Boom, right there alone. And they're going to be spending that money. And I think it was Representative John Fuller, a Vietnam veteran out of the Flathead, who had a bill to fix just this. And he said that they've had studies down in, I think it was New Mexico, where they made this change. And they actually brought in more revenue as a result of this because you had a stronger economy and because of the dollars that were brought into the state. So it just makes sense economically.
It's just the right thing to do.
And it's the right thing to do.
It's the right thing to do. Yeah. Yeah, and so, another thing that this was more spoken in the halls, but there's been a crackdown on liquor licenses for fraternal organizations, and that has actually affected my post as well. And it's something that's very concerning because we do make money off of our licenses, and we put tens of thousands of dollars back into the community with that money that we make on those concession agreements. And the thought of losing that is pretty scary, because one of the things that I'm proud of is I'm on the gifting committee of my post, and so I'm the one that's running the committee of deciding where that money goes. And we have put so much money into organizations helping veterans all over Gallatin County. I'm tremendously proud of that, and the thought of losing that income is pretty scary. And so that's kind of the update on what happened in the VFW state convention. And
on that front, to jump in on that one too, again, here we've got men and women who've fought for this freedom because it's the veterans of foreign wars. These are combat veterans, and now you got the state coming in, threatening to take away some of their freedoms. And it just reminds me, you got kids that at 18 can go fight in a war, but can't come home and have a beer as a toast with their friends when they make it home. You know what I mean? And now you got the VFWs having to fight, the state over their liquor licenses and things like that. It's just like, come on, people. What are the priorities back there?
It's just an example of government getting in our way. And, it's just overregulated, overreaching. It's just, getting in our way. And I think as Americans, we thrive if government gets out of our way. I mean, look what's happened on the national scene with regulations being, rolled back, and Americans all over the country thriving because of it. We just need government out of our way, and that's my opinion on that.
I hear you there. Yeah, we fought for freedom, right? We didn't fight for it.
Let me tell you, I'm not done fighting that fight. I mean, I think that there's more freedom that can be afforded, and I think we need to keep fighting for that. And this is something that I will do until my last breath.
Troy Downing with us on the phone lines. Of course, Troy picked up a lot of steam running for the U.S. Senate last year in the Republican primary as well. So some folks might be wondering, Troy, hey, you going to look at running for anything else this go around? I mean, you got the House seat. Plus, we got the news that State Auditor Matt Rosendale is going to be running for the House along with Secretary of State Corey Stapleton. Well, that frees up the state auditor slot. And I know you've had not only a business in tech and a military background, but you've also kind of worked in the insurance business, so you know a little thing or two about that as well.
Yeah, well, first of all, just wrap up one last thing about that state convention. It was up in Libby, and beautiful area. I was happy to be there. That was there Thursday and Friday, and got to meet up with my friend Jerry, who was actually the guy who was with me on that September 11th moose hunting trip. So
wow,
fun to get caught up in him. So then made it down to the state convention, and let me tell you, what an awesome group of people that really care about Montana. It always just makes me feel good to walk into that crowd. And with the officers election, I got to say that I know Don Kay, I know Terry Nelson. I think they're both honorable people. I think they've both done a lot for the state of Montana, and I would not have been disappointed with either of them winning. But I will say that I think Don Kay is going to be good for the party. He's somebody that can talk to both sides, the conservative side of the party as well as the more moderate part of the party. I think that's good. I think he has the ability to raise money, which is something that really moves the needle in the state GOP, and I'm happy to see Don willing to take the reins on that. Obviously there's a lot of shakeups, and you just played the part with Matt Rosendale, obviously making his announcement for the congressional race. And, that's been one of the big concerns is all the shakeups. And I'll tell you, I've had a lot of people reach out to me over the last several months, trying to encourage me to run for one thing or the other. And it's flattering. It's flattering to have so much support and people reaching out and encouraging. And I'll just say two things is, one is I'm not done. And then the second thing is I am 100% in if there's a path where I can do something meaningful for Montana. And so I'm not announcing anything right now, but I will say if there's a path where I think I have the skill set and the backing to do something meaningful, then I'm 100% in.
Whether that's auditor right now, or U.S. House, you name it.
Exactly. And obviously, my skill set, lends itself to, certain offices. I've built a national real estate company. I built an insurance company from the ground up. I've built and managed and sold securities. I've had an investment banking group that was licensed under FINRA. So, I've got experience in a lot of areas. I've got experience. Obviously, I've been in the military. I know how to get things done. I know how to fight. And like I said earlier, when we were talking about the VFW, I will fight for Montana until my last breath. And if there's something I can do that's meaningful, I'm 100% in.